Welcome back to another episode of the Weekly Wrap, but this week will look a little different. With everything happening in our community and country today, the Rangeview took a comprehensive look into the topic of immigration. What does immigration look like in the U.S. today? Let's go with Zoe to find out.
As of 2023, 14.3% of the U.S. population are foreign-born, and about 24.7% of that are undocumented. That's 13.7 million people whose livelihoods are at threat with the recent executive orders by President Trump, whose plans and claims regarding immigration grow more severe. Immigrants are the backbone of America, a fact that's already been well established. They make up a significant portion of the workforce, around 18.6%, and generated nearly $1.6 trillion in revenue in 2022, particularly in agriculture, construction, and service jobs. Since taking office, President Trump filed numerous executive orders against immigration, such as limiting birthright citizenship, and enacted various ICE raids across cities in the U.S., such as Aurora, which has become a target for anti-immigration rhetoric. Aurora is Colorado's most diverse city, a fact on which it prides itself. About 21% of Aurora's population is foreign-born, the majority of which hailing from Latin America. Yet the Metro Denver area has become a point of contempt among many, largely as a result of the influx of migrants from Venezuela, and as a result, Venezuelan gangs. Unfortunately, those who are hit the hardest are people trying to live their day-to-day lives, now forced to face the possible fact of being forced away from their homes. Rangeview students and faculty alike are feeling the impacts of the country's ever-changing attitudes on immigration.
Let's take a deep dive into the history of immigration in the U.S. with news reporter Brendan.
Immigration in the United States has been a controversial historical topic for quite a while now, even since this country was born. Now, this timeline is a lot, so I'm only going to talk about the main things. Starting off strong, the United States is only a couple of decades old, and we're kicking off with the anti-immigration fiasco in the government. Here, Congress passed a law that only white people of good character who had been in the U.S. for more than 2 years could get citizenship. Everyone else is left without their basic constitutional rights and protections. Then, in 1849, America's first anti-immigrant political party, known as the Know Nothing Party, forms a backlash to the increasing number of German and Irish immigrants settling in the United States. Then, we move on to 1882, in which the Chinese Exclusion Act is passed. This restricts Chinese immigrants from entering the United States. It made up a majority of the miners, railroad builders, and agricultural workers. Then, in January of 1892, Ellis Island opens as the first immigration station in the United States, which is located in the New York Harbor. More than 12 million immigrants would enter the United States through Ellis Island between 1892 and 1954. Then, unfortunately, in 1917, xenophobia reached new heights on the eve of American involvement in World War I. Following the up and down structure of this timeline, the United States passes its first refugee and resettlement law, which allows for Europeans fleeing World War II permanent residence in the United States. On to 1965.
But it doesn't take us long to realize that America has been the home of its white exiles from Europe.
The Immigration and Nationality Act replaces the old quota system. This would turn family reunification into the number one reason for immigrating to the United States.
Basis of their skills and their close relationships to those already here.
Now, in the present era, a ton of stuff happens. First, Ronald Reagan gave amnesty to the more than 3 million migrants living in the United States illegally.
I believe in the idea of amnesty for those who have put down roots and who have lived here, even though some time back they may have entered illegally.
Obama then signs in the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which would only temporarily protect people from deportation and didn't provide a path to citizenship.
They are Americans in their heart, in their minds, in every single way but one, on paper.
Then, Donald Trump would pass 2 executive orders that restricted travel and immigration from a majority of Muslim countries.
Until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
We were wondering how teachers have been impacted by the issue of immigration. Let's go take a look with Lyric.
Yeah, I think I've heard of kids being scared because not everyone has the proper documentation to be here, and the students might be born here, but their parents maybe were not born here. criminals, like those who are committing crimes, I think that is where the focus should be. But if someone is here and is peaceful and is contributing to the economy and is paying taxes, but I don't think like separating families and doing all of that, I don't think is a good idea. I have friends and I have family members who are here without the proper documentation. They come here because of the opportunities here. Some of them don't want to go back. So they end up being here without like the proper documentation, but they're just trying to make a living. They're not like criminals, they're not like done anything. So I feel like some of those people, if they've been here for some time, they should provide them like a path to citizenship.
I was originally a freshman, I think, when Trump was first elected. He was saying all this stuff, right? And then we're back at it now, and I'm seeing how my thoughts translate into the students nowadays. The same, like, oh my God, what's gonna happen if they raid this place? My parents are there. What if I'm there, right? Family members and everything. I'm a teacher, and y'all are students, but we're going through the same type of situation.
I have had a number of students worried about immigration, and I've had a number of students that have not come to school as a result of their fear of immigration.
My husband teaches at an elementary school in Denver public schools, and there's been some students that have come to him like in tears, and their parents also in tears, telling him that they need to stand with him at recess, even when they're outside of the building, just still on school grounds, because they're afraid that someone else might take them home.
What are Rangeview students' perspectives surrounding the discourse around this topic? Let's go with Eleni to find out.
Most students are afraid for their family more than they're afraid for themselves. Students are disgusted with the violence they witness from news articles of what ICE and other agencies are doing. They say it's an immoral way to do things and it's an abuse of power. They see no changes in the future. Students are also speechless learning that ICE is now able to be in schools, churches, and workplaces. A student we interviewed said that the protest we did is more peaceful than what ICE is doing. Teachers aren't allowed to use their rights and to not answer the door if they come in. Say no, don't answer questions. Now, sadly, the Trump administration has made it where DPS can't stop ICE and most agencies from deporting kids and adults. Most have no idea how to fix this or if there is even a way to fix this. And students who do believe that there is a way believe that the only way to stop it is if the president changes his mind, which seems unlikely.
How have students been personally affected by this issue? Let's go take a look with Kai.
I got stripped out of an experience with family members like my brother and my father. They weren't deported in this specific situation, but just because they were deported, I had to live my life mainly with my mom. Being raised by a single parent when I could have been raised by two affected me a lot. I do enjoy the way I am now, but I could have had a happier childhood if my family wasn't taken from me.
I did have a family member that did get deported 3 months ago, so I don't appreciate the students that take it as a joke.
My father has recently got his citizenship, but my mom does not have hers. She works with the police department, so she gets notified of where the raids are happening.